straight, never caps. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the 15 Minutes with G Slack show. I'm your host, G Slack Super Slacker, Slack the Savior, Slack your boy. And today I have a very special guest with me, hailing out of Metro Detroit. He's a sound engineer at Parallel Sound Studio. He got credits with Jeremih, I Swear Vezo, Spot 'em Got 'em, Doughboys Cash Out, and so much more. Mixed by Phillip. What's going on, man?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Well, I'm really excited to have you here today. You know what I mean? I want to talk a lot about what you're doing with Parallel, the state of the industry in Michigan, and a whole lot of things. But before we get deep, tell the viewers a little bit about, what you do and how you started getting into the music scene.
I'm a mixing engineer, but I started off producing. I was producing since I was maybe 12, 13 years old, ever since I can remember. And I did that throughout high school. I got a job. I actually dropped out of high school when I was 16 to intern in a recording studio. Got a job there at Soundbox Studios. When I was 17, I started working as an engineer. I ended up quitting producing a couple years later. That was about 10 years ago. And from there I just took engineering serious. I interned in New York under Michael Ashby. He did all Cardi B's albums, a bunch of big records that were really relevant back then. So I annoyed him a bunch, interned there, came back home, freelance at a bunch of recording studios, and then about 5 years ago I opened up Parallel Sounds.
So when you were making those moves and you said you went and interned in New York, oh my God, hold on, my bad, bro. Alexa, off. That shit just fucked up my whole flow. God damn it.
You good?
God
You
damn it.
good?
All right, here we go. So when you was interning in New York, did you have somebody that was putting you into those positions, or were you just, relentless with the leaders, just kind of reaching out to people?
With Ashby, I was just being real annoying. I was like, he did the Bodak Yellow record, and I was like, I just remember never hearing a female rap vocal mixed like that when that came out, and I was obsessed with the mix and the low end in the record. So I started messaging him probably like every 2 weeks, and he actually turned me down for a while, probably like 4 months of me messaging him. He was like, "No, we're not taking interns, not taking interns." Eventually, he was like, "All right, you can come out in the summer," and then I went out there. That was 2017, I believe, or 18.
Okay. And then when did you come back?
I came back a few months later, and yeah, that was I think that was 17 or 18, and then I didn't work at studios very long before I opened up Parallel, maybe a year.
So was it in that time where you were in New York, or was it before that you kind of knew that you wanted to open up your own studio?
No, I actually had no intention to open a studio. To be honest, owning a recording studio isn't very profitable nowadays. If you're gonna do it right, there's a lot of shit studios, and we were the same. We were that shit studio when we started, because you just couldn't afford it. But there's a lot of shit studios that maybe put in like a few grand worth of equipment and then charge you a bunch hourly. But if you're gonna do it right, hire a acoustician, do high end equipment, stuff like that, you might be putting a couple $100,000 into a room just to make $70 an hour, $50 an hour. So it's not the most profitable business. You really gotta love it. So I did not plan to open a studio. I just wanted to freelance, charge hourly, work at different recording studios, and eventually I plan to, move to one of the hot spots like LA or New York and do that. And then when I came and I seen like the scene of how the recording studio scene was in Michigan, and I seen these guys. First, I just didn't really care. I had a lot of conflicts with the owners. The equipment wasn't up to par. Everything, I was like, I just felt like I could do it better in the long term. So I decided to stick it out here.
Yeah, so I remember recording there a couple of times. I believe I was with Kenzo the first time I was in there. How long did you have the studio before you guys built that other room on the other side, like the big, super nice room?
Probably, I think I had it for like almost 2 years, and the other room's been open 2 years. And we are now we're doing that first studio you were in. We're redoing that. Roll House Studio.
Of course.
The guy who built that is doing the first room, and that starts in 2 weeks actually.
Oh,
So
that's gonna be great. How long are we thinking for the production on that one?
I think it's gonna get open in probably middle of spring, somewhere around there. It's gonna be really nice. I really think it's gonna be one of the nicest studio, if not the nicest studio in Michigan. We could put big budget together, and we want to really dominate the studio scene.
So how long did you start working with the people that are I guess on your payroll or on your team for Parallel Sounds? Like even down to the people who just, clean up, the people that make sure the fridge is stocked, doing all that hard work. How long you been working with those people?
So my engineers have been with me for most of the longest. I think Tony's been there like over 3 years, and maybe even longer than that. And then I have my other guy's been with me about two to 3 years. Pretty much everyone's been together. They pretty much everyone who works at Parallel started as my intern, and then some of them worked as my assistant, and then until they started building their own clientele, and then I funneled them clientele, whatever we got to do, marketing, whatever.
Hmm.
And then they build their own thing.
Okay. Yeah. So from a business standpoint, would you say that having somebody doing, regular sessions or a regular show from your studio, such as like Kid L, I know he does the nice side of Parallel. He be in there, I don't know how many times a week, but does that help your business in any way, just knowing that those big names are coming in constantly?
Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely helps. Kiddo talked to me about wanting to do a show, a couple years ago whenever he started that show, and I was just like, he definitely just had the personality for it. I was like, this is back when Kid only had like a couple thousand followers, and I was like, yeah, this would be amazing, and it we started going crazy, exactly what I thought it would. And I mean, I feel like specifically because of his show, just a lot of people know what Parallel is because of that show, and that definitely helps me in clientele.
Hmm. So did the pandemic affect business or at all, or business morale with your employees or anything like that, or your clients?
It actually helped us a ton.
Really?
um I was very, very anti-COVID when it came out. I didn't want to shut down, so I didn't. I was open for like 2 weeks. I mean, I closed down for like 2 weeks. The initial shutdown, if you remember, it was supposed to be 2 weeks, and then we ended up being shut down for like 5 months or whatever.
Yep, I remember.
But I only shut down that original 2 weeks, and then I was like, no, we're reopened. So when during COVID, um nobody had anything to do and everyone had a bunch of free time, and we were like the only place open. People were booking sessions in like June for the end of September. It was like a 3 month wait, 2 month wait to book sessions, and our business really exploded because of it. It was great, and I think it really helped us for a couple of years where just artists kind of just had a lot more free time and a lot of free money that they could just spend their time creating instead of working.
Yeah, yeah. So which do you prefer more? Do you prefer, being the owner, business manager, dealing with all the emails, phone calls, all that crazy stuff, or do you prefer really sitting down right in front of that computer and engineering a session?
Oh, I 100% prefer just mixing. I actually avoid doing any real work if I can. I have a manager who handles like employees and payroll and taxes and any marketing and stuff like that. Maybe content creation and communication with customers. I don't do any of that at all. And then I have like a accountant for money type stuff, and I don't actually do any of that, to be honest. I did, when it first started, but I that is not what I want to do. I'm a mixing engineer at heart. When I opened Parallel, I didn't look at it even like a company. It was like, I'm a mixing engineer and this is a place I'm going to work at. I didn't even see what it would have turned into with us having a bunch of engineers and stuff like that. I didn't think it. I wasn't planning on putting it there. Kind of just went there.
Mm. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about your placements and your collaborators and things like that. Who was your first big project that you worked on, or artist that you got a placement with?
So my first my first would probably be Self-Made Cash. I don't know if you know him, but
You from Detroit?
yeah, the scam rapper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was working with him from his very beginning. I was actually like, this was long time ago. Like, we were recording in a closet maybe 8 years ago, 9 years ago. And we were recording in a closet at my mom's house actually. And it was just me and him making music, and like those records ended up blowing up not blown up crazy, but that was like, like my first time seeing like 250,000, 500,000 views and getting more recognition on the internet. I had never seen that before. I was working with like local artists getting 50 views type of thing. So that was probably my first one. But my first big artist would probably be Jeremih, where we worked at his house in Hollywood Hills.
Wow. What song was
Yeah.
that for?
We did a ton of records. I don't okay, like I hate to say this even on an interview, but he's never even gonna hear this. So I mean, I really had never listened to his music, and I still don't. But that's the case with pretty much anyone. Like, I mean, I more study music than listen to music. When you're an
Yeah.
engineer for a long time, it's not as much as I don't get to enjoy it like the regular consumer.
Yeah, and it's probably hard as somebody like you with so many clients, everybody got their own new music coming out all the time. It's hard to keep up with everything, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
So, what was it like working with Doughboys, man? Because I know that's a insanely renowned group in Detroit. Every single person who gonna hear this know exactly who Doughboys is. What was it like working with them?
That was actually insane for me because Doughboys, I've, I didn't even listen to anything outside of hip hop till I was probably 20 years old. I've been like deep into like hip hop culture my whole life, and I never listened to a pop song or a rock song, anything like that until I got older. And Doughboys Cash Out, I just remember being in like 10th grade. Like these guys are like my idols. Like just
Yeah,
listening to David Star, like this is my shit, dude. And Helluva, and now I know Helluva well. And just like I remember just being so nervous the first time them walking in the room and thinking like it was actually, I believe that was really the first moment where I felt like, hey, my work's paying off, my dreams are coming true. That was Doughboys really gave me that first moment, even though what they're doing in music right now may not be that relevant. It was just such a huge deal to me because of how important they were to me when I was younger. You
yeah,
know?
yeah. So you said that you've been starting to get into different types of music ever since you were 20. I know I've seen you do a whole bunch of different stuff with like Dave Theo. You guys don't make rap music. It's very,
Yeah.
R&B, pop oriented. What's your favorite genre besides rap and hip hop?
I would say my favorite genre is probably pop or maybe like some type of alternative rock, but I would definitely say pop. I would actually say pop dominates hip hop for me now. I think I just been in hip hop for so long that I started like swaying to different types of music.
Yeah, especially being in the Detroit area too. And I hate to say it, but a lot of the Detroit rappers, that music is very, very repetitive and niche.
Yes. But I have a lot of hope for the future of Detroit right now out of all times and the local music industry. I think Detroit has now created the most unique sound that they've ever had with, some of the guys like whether it's good or bad, it isn't really relative. It's more if it's new. For me when I'm talking to an artist, like I always say it's better to sound new than to sound good, and I think we sound newer than we've ever sounded, which really I think will help us to get to the top.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think I think Detroit has a promising future in music very soon here.
Yeah, we do. And it's a lot of, businesses from out of state and from different places that are starting to, start branches in Detroit. Like for instance, like Auntie's House that is originally from Cleveland. They just started up a branch in Detroit, things like that. People are starting to realize that, we not just piano beat rapping about trapping and drugs, you know what I'm saying? We really got a different culture.
Yeah. You
So,
got guys, I love the comedy rap scene, like the
yep.
the the BF the Pac-Man. It's not comedy rap, but it's like he's funny too
Yeah,
while
it's
he's
like
putting
funky.
serious shit in. Yeah, it's funky. It's funky in a whole new way. We have probably some of the most aggressive rap in all of America
Oh
too, which
yeah.
is awesome. I mean, I don't know. I think our scene is special. I think it's gonna be huge. It's gonna keep evolving. It's gonna get better.
Yeah, I won't lie. And I would say that traveling, I've been around the tri-state area, been around like pretty much the whole Midwest. I'm in Chicago right now. I've been out, all the way from Ohio, New York, pretty much been everywhere. And a lot of scenes and a lot of, different pockets of hoods and cities and places that make music really kind of emulate and try to do what Detroit's doing.
And
And
they
like
do a shittier version of it.
exactly, exactly. What do you think about the increase of, pretty much all around rap music being just boosted up like crazy in the mainstream? Do you think it's going to continue to get more popular, or like you said, you think pop dominates? You think that's going to kind of take over again?
No, I do not. I think I can't see any other genre being able to mess with hip hop. Because of what I just said. I mean, hip hop just has the ability to be way more creative than anyone else. Where there's no more box of hip hop. Back in like the beginning of when I was getting in music, there was a real box we were all in, where it's like you had to live this life of how you rap, and hip hop culture was very like you were had to be this certain type of person. It would be like a country artist not living in the country, it was like a city guy. And hip hop was like that, which is no longer like that at all.
Not at all.
And that allowed us to make all different types of sound subgenres of hip hop and all these different types of music, which I know a lot of people hated at first, but I think it turned out much better for the music.
Yeah, it's definitely something where it's very like you can create a subgenre quick. As soon as you set a trend and it sounds different, people really will just branch off and make a whole different style of music off of that. You know what I mean? Like we didn't really start hearing the New York drill until about 3 years ago, but really that was from like the UK version of the drill, things like that.
And it doesn't have to be good or bad necessarily in hip hop. I mean, I was just working with like last week, I was working with Casher Kwan, and he raps off beat on the whole track, and it's dope. I mean, it's dope
Exactly.
in its own way. He like right before we're about to mix, he's like, Phil, don't make it sound pretty. He was like, I want my shit to kind of sound a little shitty. He's like, that's my sound. I'm like, all right, you got it. And that you can do that in hip hop. You can't do that in a pop record, and it just allows us ultimate creativity to be whoever we want to be in the music.
Yeah, that's true. And especially nowadays where everything is so accessible, especially to, artists that's just starting out or creators that's just starting out, you can download an app and there you go with your videos, your recording, your mixing right there. It's not obviously up to the par of being at a big studio, but people are able to get that practice now that when they get into a big studio, they know what they're doing. They got that experience or a little bit of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I said big G slack, give it straight, never cap. Smoke an eighth out the pack, that's a blunt down the hatch. Don't play fight, I play smash. Rest my head up on that ass. I know she gon' get attached once I start blowing her back.